Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum, and welcome to another edition of Debunked here on INX Prime. My name is Sulaimaan Ravat. Well, today we talk Hajj. Hajj, one of the fundamentals of Islam, one of the five pillars of Islam, a journey that is mandatory upon those who can afford it and those who have the ability at least once in a lifetime. A topic which is very emotive for that very reason, because it's very close to the hearts of people. There has been a lot of debate in the last couple of months within the Muslim community about Hajj and proposed structures and how those structures would work and wouldn't work, etc., etc., etc. That was kind of dealt with towards the end of last week, in that the Hajj ministry, via its embassy here in South Africa, had issued communication to our own Department of International Relations and Cooperation, saying that henceforth, Hujjaj from South Africa will go for Hajj via the Nusuk system. Now, there is the debate that has been had, and I suppose on the periphery will continue to be had in terms of why, how, who's responsible, who asked, who didn't ask, etc. But the more important discussion now is that Nusuk is a reality, and there are people who are wanting to go for Hajj next year, be it those who are already on the accreditation list and are looking to perform their Hajj for the first time, or those who would like to perform Hajj even though they had performed Hajj previously. There's a lot of ambiguity around how this Nusuk system is working in other countries and how it will work for South Africans, and how similar and how different would it be to the previous methods that South Africans had used to go for Hajj, and whether there would be advantages or disadvantages, or more advantages, more disadvantages. So that's where the core focus is now, that this Nusuk system is a reality, like it or not, whoever is responsible for bringing it into existence or not. How do we now, as a South African Muslim community, engage with this particular system? My guest on the program, Yaseen Khan from TWF. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam, Moulana Ravat. Shukran for having me on today.
So, when we speak about Nusuk, right, even those who were on Hajj this year and those who went for Umrah, their initial thought was that Nusuk is that app that you do your Roda booking on and you do your Umrah booking on. And one got that sense of confusion initially, that people were saying, but okay, so are we going to use that same app? Where does this word Nusuk fit in? Then there's other terminologies, which are more formal terminologies that those in the know use. Can we start there? Just unpack the terminologies. Colloquially speaking, they say Nusuk, but what does it actually mean?
All right, so Moulana Ravat, and for the listeners, the Nusuk system is the comprehensive online digital platform that is broken up into three different segments. You would look at the Nusuk app, which our South African pilgrims and pilgrims around the world are familiar with, which is what they use to secure their Roda booking, to secure their Umrah booking when they're heading into Makkah. That is a comprehensive app and solution-based system for Umrah. The next platform for mission-based countries is Nusuk Masar, which is the platform where mission-based teams link in, who are accredited to manage the country's quota, and then load their pilgrims onto that platform, securing their accommodation, securing their transfers, securing their flights, loading this information onto the system. And then that system, once that light turns green, once payments are done, the visa is issued, and that information is provided to the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah. Effectively, it's a B2B system, right? So you're contracting as a South African travel agent to the service providers in the kingdom through a B2B platform. That's Nusuk Masar. Nusuk Hajj is the B2C system, or direct to public system. This is where the potential pilgrim logs onto the platform, onto the website. It is not an app, it is a website. It's hajj.nusuk.sa. You log onto there, you create your profile, and then from that point on, you wait for the phases to come into effect. So the first phase is registration, logging on and creating your profile. Once your profile is created, you wait for the second phase, which is where the packages are released and the different offers from the various providers are made public. And then the third phase is the purchasing phase. So from the release of the packages, or the typical browsing or shopping phase where you can tailor your package or build your package to a certain extent, there's about 28 days. So potential Hujjaj, once they log on, they can browse, they can determine, okay, I can afford Hajj this year, I'm happy with these packages, I'm linking my family members, I'm building up as what I need. They have 28 days to ensure that the funds for that package that they built is loaded into the wallet. And then on the 28th of January, which is the date for Hajj 2026, That is the date that potential pilgrims log on, wait in the queue, and then once the system accepts them, they can then make payment for that package and then proceed on to the next stage. That basically splits out the three different systems for Nusuk.
No, that's a good explanation, and I think it demystifies the entire structure of it. Now, I suppose perhaps some of the negativity around the Nusuk concept stems from what happened, for example, like in the UK 2-3 years ago, when they embarked on going for Hajj via the Nusuk system for the very first time. And I can remember there were reports coming out there of people going to the airports, and then there was chaos. And then when they got to the kingdom, they were mismatched, strange men and women in one room, etc., etc., etc. Was that initial teething problems? I mean, in other countries, up to this last Hajj, has it been pretty much streamlined?
It has been streamlined. And I'll be the first to admit, I was never an advocate of the Nusuk platform until I had an opportunity to meet with the teams and engage with them and understand and see the implementation of the changes they've done, and to see it in effect this year. Being on the ground this year and meeting fellow friends and family from overseas and Hujjaj who are traveling from other countries who use Nusuk, the significant paradigm shift in what was the initial stages compared to what it is now is chalk and cheese. They have upped their game, they have stepped up, and it is working efficiently, alhamdulillah.
What's the vision behind it? What's the objective behind it, right? Is it that administratively it streamlines things? Because there are still people who say that irrespective of which country you are from, why not do it the traditional way? Why not just, book with your agent and your agent will do his thing with his counterparts there? Why is the Saudi kingdom via its Hajj ministry trying to centralize it so much? In your engagement with the authorities, there are the skeptics who say that it's going to be easier to make more money and hence Hajj will become more expensive. And there are those who are in favor of it who say that administratively it cuts out a lot of unnecessary processes. Yes, it may also cut out some of the middlemen, but it makes things much more seamless.
It does make things seamless. The aim and the objectives of the Nusuk platform, as far as the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah is concerned, is to streamline, to make it efficient, and to make it as transparent as possible. They want to avoid issues where there are third parties held accountable. Right now, they will vet these service providers. In fact, yesterday was the day that the Saudi-based muassasas or the mission teams in Saudi who are accredited to provide packages on the Nusuk platform had to submit their packages. They vet this, they prepare this, and they must know that there's a strict criteria. So for them, from a Saudi-based point of view, or from a Ministry of Hajj and Umrah-based point of view, they want to control the experience and ensure it is as smooth and as seamless and in coherence with the requirements of a perfect experience for the Hujjaj who are traveling.
Is it inevitable that the whole world will be on Nusuk sooner rather than later? Because I heard this debate already a year or two ago, that Nusuk is inevitable. Some countries will be onboarded prior, others later, and that eventually even Umrah will have to take place via a centralized Nusuk platform. Is that the ultimate vision? Is it part of the whole Vision 2030?
It is part of Vision 2030, but Umrah will still be kept to a certain point. Remember, up until 2 to 3 years ago, with the introduction of the multi-entry tourist visa and the opening of borders and the ease of access to the kingdom, if you had to perform Umrah, you had to issue an Umrah visa. And I've mentioned this on a couple other radio stations and a couple other talk shows. An Umrah visa has assurances and insurances guaranteed by the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah, such as the accommodation insurance, the transfer insurance, primary health care. These are all things that fall under the Umrah system and that are given to an Umrah visa. On a tourist visa, they're not going to touch that. If you're traveling into the kingdom on a tourist visa, you can do what you need to do your own accommodation and booking. Going forward, yes, there is a potential for the Umrah visa to be issued under a more controlled system, but not to the point where it is now with Hajj, where they're controlling everything directly.
So where does this leave the South African travel operator, right? Last year, there were 3 travel operators. There was the TWF, there was CAPS, and there was Yusra and Shafiq's. So now, last year, if I wanted to go for Hajj, I come to you, I look at the packages you offer, the contract is between me and you. If I'm not happy at the end of the day, the dispute is with you. And, my recourse will be directed at you. Now that you're engaging a Saudi entity, what exactly will the role be of a South African travel operator. How do they fit into the system now?
Okay, so one of the things when I was asked to do this interview, we said we were going to talk about misconceptions and debunking them and changing the narratives. Whatever the public has been told right now, that you are on your own, that you're not going to have your service provider, that you're not going to have your mission team with you, all of that is incorrect. The Saudi teams want to work and partner with local service providers to ensure, number one, they're reaching the right market. Number two, they're engaging with the customers and with the Hujjaj and preparing them. Number three, and to provide the service on the ground once they reach the kingdom. So our role has changed slightly, but not significantly. Remember, all of the South African service providers are in the industry in service of the Hujjaj. And our role does not change from that. We will still accompany the Hujjaj to the kingdom. We will still do the preparations beforehand, hosting the classes in South Africa, taking them for preparations, preparing them for what to expect on the journey. We will accompany them on the flights. We will be waiting for them at the airports. We will collect them. All of that, nothing changes. Our role still stays the same. It is just now the administration is managed by a Saudi-based counterpart. We still have input in terms of creating the packages. One of the other things that I'll loop back to this now. You mentioned about the UK packages a few years back and the costs of it. Those packages are based on shorter durations. And everyone always tends to compare, oh no, Nusuk was 150,000 Rand, I paid 300,000 Rand. You can't compare a package without understanding the duration of the package, the type of flight, when it came in, and what services were linked to it. We've done our homework, we've worked with some of the service providers, we were doing costing exercises. And contrary to what the public perception is right now, there's a lot of misinformation being shared. It is not that much significantly higher. It is going to be slightly higher, but not significant to the point where it is prohibitive for people to travel for Hajj. They are giving us the opportunity to work with them to develop the product. And when we say product, it's the package. Say, for example, our traditional market wants to travel for 6 weeks. And I listened to your interview earlier on today with Moulana Fahim from Botswana, who's a colleague of ours, and the Albeit team, who we've met with as well. And he actually explained it to you, and it's something I've also explained on another radio station. Coming in on a shorter duration is the most expensive period. You're coming in on the 1st of Zulhijjah, you're going to spend 3 nights in Medina, 3 nights in Makkah, and then the Mashaya. That is the most expensive. That is a traditional Arab model. Moulana, I'm sure you've got friends and family in the Middle East, and you know, for them, Hajj is 10 days. That's it. That's all they get off for work for. I've got friends and family in Dubai. When they get off for Hajj, they get 10 days leave. They don't work on the model that we work on here in South Africa. And the benefit now of being able to engage directly with the service providers is that we can develop the product and the packages to suit our South African needs and ensure that they have durations and services that require them and their budgets.
So in this endeavor to clarify the misconceptions, right, I'm just trying to simplify it for the viewers in terms of the practicalities of it. Let's say I want to go for Hajj. Yaseen Khan puts out an advert, right, on INX Prime, on the radio stations. These are the packages. Will Yaseen Khan be basically then advertising the packages of the entity that he has an arrangement with in the kingdom? So when I go onto the Nusuk system, Yaseen Khan told me book with company ABC. That's the company I book with. But then Yaseen Khan will be my facilitator and my guide.
Correct.
And the ulama that he has contracted will be the spiritual guides. Is that how it's going to work?
Correct. That's how it's going to work.
Right. Now, the aspect of the cost you've dealt with, right? The other issue that is quite debated around this particular system is about the first-time Haji versus the repeat Haji. The argument is that the accreditation system advantaged the first-time Haji because there was a queue and there was a system. Now it's free for all, you know, first come, first serve. And a person may have gone for Hajj multiple times and he's got the money and he wants to take his wife and his daughter and his son-in-law and grandchildren. And if they get in, the lady sitting in Cape Town who's waiting for 50 years and hasn't yet got a chance may be disadvantaged. Is that true?
The system works on a first come, first serve basis. I'm not going to dispute that. And right now, our appeal to the community is if you have performed your Fard Hajj, step back. Look, we should want for our brothers and sisters what we want for ourselves. You have performed your Fard Hajj, take a step back and let someone else go. Those who have performed Hajj in the last few years, you've had your opportunity to stand before Allah on the plains of Arafah. Allow that opportunity for someone else now. It's not as challenging as it is. There are ways to overcome it, and there was a way to solve it. There was a way to solve it, and this could have been overcome. How deep are we going to go into this conversation? Because I need to know how much of insight do you want, and how much of, because again, what we're discussing now is debunking misconceptions and false narratives.
Yeah, I think that the key point.
There was an opportunity. Nusuk was inevitable. Nusuk was going to come one way or another, and we can go into this. And there was a press release There was a press release sent out a couple of days back that, for example, stated that 7 travel operators went to the ambassador and complained and wanted to be put on Nusuk. And now the public outcry is, who are these 7 operators? That wasn't the case. And that's one side of the story. 7 operators were invited by the ambassador through a third party to share what their concerns were. Not once was Nusuk mentioned in this meeting. What was mentioned, or what was discussed, was the authenticity of a letter that was provided, the content of that letter, and how it was translated. The ambassador himself was taken aback. He did not agree with what was said, and he said, this is not an instruction from us. So from that point onwards, you cannot blame the operators if the ambassador then reported back to the kingdom. Whatever happened thereafter is a direct result of a misrepresentation, not only to the travel operators, but to the South African public. So there was a solution to this. There was a way to solve it. But right now, we're not in a situation where we can point fingers and start blaming names, playing games and blaming people. The South African public requires the stakeholders involved at this point, those with the knowledge and the guidance and the capabilities to manage the transition, to come together and work for it, and work for the community, to work for the Ummah. That is the position that we're taking.
On this issue, right, of the repeat Hajj, what's the trend been like in those countries where they've been on the Nusuk system for a few years already? Say, for example, the UK, Australia, US, etc. Is there any stats available to say that on a first-come, first-served basis, how many of those Hujjaj coming from the UK, for example, are first time and how many are repeat, to give us some sort of indication as to how it's likely to flow? I know nobody can guarantee how things will end up at the end of the day.
All I can guarantee for the people of South Africa is that there is a 5-year non-repeat. So what we are trying to just verify at this point as well is that visas issued by the Nusuk Musad platform, will they be excluded from the Nusuk Hajj platform? So if someone's performed Hajj in the last 5 years, is that visa excluded from performing Hajj again? Or is it starting from scratch with new registrations? Inshallah, as soon as we have that verified, we will let the public know as well. So by default, anyone who's performed Hajj in the last 5 years would not be able to perform Hajj again until that 5-year wait period for them is done.
Okay,
so that's something we are trying to get clarity on.
We've dealt now with the cost aspect. We've dealt with this aspect of repeat Hajj. The other aspect that clarity is required on, that historically South Africans were in the same camp, even if they were with different travel agents in Mina and in Arafah. The assumption seems to be that maybe Yaseen Khan will transact with company ABC in Saudi, and Sulaimaan Ravat will transact with XYZ. The Hujjaj that book with me may end up in a different camp in Mina. The Hujjaj that book with you may end up in a different camp in Mina. The same with Arafah. Is that how it works?
That will be correct. But you're not alone. You're not scattered. You are with the group you've booked with. You are with the people you've booked with. You are with the mission team you've booked with. You are not separated like an individual, or you and your wife far away from all the other South Africans. You travel with, and you complete your journey in Medina, in Makkah, in the Mashayar, with the group you've booked with. You are not alone.
The aspect of being with the group that you booked with, right? We know last year's regulations was that a travel agent had to have minimum 500 Hajis in order to be able to take a Hajj group. And that's why we saw the coming together of various travel operators. What's the system with Nusuk? I mean, if I want to go as a travel operator, if you want to go, how many people have to basically sign up with us, if I can use that phrase, in order for us to qualify. The reason I'm asking is there seems to be a perception, I've heard a figure, I don't know if it's true or not, as low as 50. So then the concern arises that there may be multiple groups going from South Africa.
The partnerships that the Saudi-based service providers engage with are very strict and stringent, similar to the accreditation process or the criteria that an agent used to have to go through with SAUC. So yes, the concept or the idea that is now a monopoly or that everyone is completely out the window. Anyone who has a heart and a passion for it and the knowledge and the level of engagement to provide a Hajj package and to negotiate on behalf of a community can contact a service provider in Saudi and make an arrangement. The minimum allocation, from my understanding at the stage, is 30, 1:30. So for every 30 Hujjaj, you allow one mission worker. So by default, if you get 30 people to come with you, you would then qualify for one alim or one guide.
The aspect of the quota, right? I think many were caught by surprise. Some said that even from amongst the travel agents that we'd interviewed in the last couple of days that they were shocked that it was dropped to 1,140, I think it is. Then there are others who are saying, and again, based on trends of previous years with other countries that were on a Nusuk system, that if there's something remaining in the pool from other countries that may not exhaust their quotas, that could come back to South Africa. I understand that that can't be guaranteed, but that's a possibility. How does that work?
It's a very, very strong possibility. So it's not about being guaranteed, it's a very high possibility. Remember, the Nusuk system, right now, the community is being fed a certain narrative and a position is being taken that things were better in the previous way. Everything will have challenges. There will be an adoption phase, there will be a stage of hurdles. 1140 is not a number to be focused on right now. 1140 is the minimum quota of people that will travel for Hajj in 2026. There is no cap. We are now part of a global pool of visas. And as you said, as visas are not allocated, as visas are not used, it goes back into the pool. And based on our demand, the first phase, second phase, third phase, we would get more visas. So inshallah, we make dua that it's not just 2,500. It's up to 4,000. It's up to 5,000. It is in Allah's hands, ultimately. But 1140 is the minimum amount allocated to South Africa with no maximum cap of the visas to be issued.
Coming back to the process, right? Again, I want to simplify it for the viewers. I know that as travel operators, you're also obviously seeking certain guidelines from the Hajj Ministry. And whilst the Nusuk system has been there for a couple of years for other countries, they do tweak it every year and make certain adjustments. What kind of timelines are we looking at? I mean, historically, there would be an accreditation list that would come out. Then the travel operators would advertise their packages. Then you had a duration within which you had to choose your operator. And then if people did not accept the accreditation, it would be second list, etc. Now, I mean, September is almost gone, right? If I use the Gregorian calendar, more or less, what kind of timelines are we looking at in terms of those who are ready to go, so they have some sort of an idea?
Okay, so effectively, yes, the portal is loaded and live right now. You can log onto the Nusuk Hajj website and create an account for yourself. The official launch date for registration is the 7th of October. And after discussion with Moulana Fahim from Botswana, he had mentioned that those that registered prior to this, and we had received a similar guidance from the teams in Saudi, register on the 7th onwards. Primarily because once the system is live, any other updates or hiccups that were done while we are still getting started up might impact the registration done now. So 7th of October is when all registrations, you can begin officially registering on the Nusuk system. You have from the 7th of October to the 29th of December to register yourself in the system. There's no limitation, you can register, anyone can register. From the 30th of December to the 27th of January, that is the sales or the package period, the browsing period where you can build up and develop your packages or browse your packages. The sales period, and this is the most critical period, is the 28th of January. The 28th of January is where the funds you've loaded into your wallet from the day the packages went live on the 30th of December to the 27th of January. So you've got more than 27 days to ensure that you have your funds in order. It's not I saw a package, book and pay now. You have a duration of time to ensure that you have the funds loaded into your wallet on the Nusuk system to then pay for the package on the 28th of January. Another misconception that's running around is that, oh, you have to register every year, or once your money's in the system, you can't get it out. Once you create your profile is there in the system forever, unless you want to physically go in and delete your profile. So there's no need to register every year. If you want to, create your profile and continue loading funds into your wallet. Consider it an interest-free savings account, a Sharia-compliant savings account. So when you are ready, you can then log onto the system during the sales period and pay for your package. Yes, at this point, it's a first come, first serve, and that rush will be there. There's no denying it. There's going to be a rush for that first 1,140. But thereafter, we make dua that as more visas become available, more Hujjaj and more Hujjaj can go.
So when we
But
say...
I want to reiterate something, Moulana. This is not the Sauk system. There's no people rushing now to register. It's not first come, first. It's not first come, first serve. Not because I registered first, I'm first in line. There's no queue system. Anyone who registers will have an opportunity to verify their account, to browse their packages, to build a package, and only once the sales period opens up will they then have to then make a payment for the package and secure it.
So in other words, the first come, first serve is not in terms of who registers first, it's in terms of who secures the package with the payment first.
Correct.
All right, Yaseen, unfortunately we've run out of time, but I think we've covered a fair amount of ground in terms of trying to clarify and remove the ambiguity and demystify some of the issues around the Nusuk system. We continue to make dua to Allah Ta'ala that Allah makes it easy for all the Hujjaj, inshallah, and opens up many more ways for the future.
Ameen. Shukran for the opportunity. If you have any further questions, Moulana, you'll know how to reach out to me and I'll be glad to assist.
Barakallah feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Well, to the viewers, until next week, inshallah, keep us in your du'as, keep the Hujjaj in your du'as, keep yourself in du'as if you're intending to go for Hajj. Ultimately, everything is in the control of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.